Hey gang, what's going on? Welcome, and you are listening to episode 164 of Byte That's weekly wrestling podcast. Thanks for tuning in and checking out the show. We always appreciate you getting the word out about all the stuff that we're doing across our YouTube channel with over 500 videos on the road to 7,000 subscribers. We do have the podcast feed. If you enjoy the podcast, take a quick second and drop a 5-star rating on iTunes or something positive. Maybe say something about Keith. And if you want to go the extra mile, get some early access, head on over to patreon.com/bytethat. Not only do you get early access for some stuff, for all patrons, you get a raw, uncut video version of the podcast available starting October 13th. So that is Thursday. We record on Wednesdays, and we're going to react to the things happening with Paige, the Hell in a Cell matches, not one, not two, but 3 times a match. My name is Juan Velez. I am from the Shining Star of the Caribbean. I'll have more about that very, very soon. Joining me for Ryan McNulty. I said your name wrong. I forgot who you were. Ryan McNulty from Boston, Mass. Keith Poshik from Winnipeg.
Never get my name wrong.
Keith, you're from Winnipeg, Ontario, Canada this week.
Don't get me started on that. Move on.
The Canadians are crying across the world because apparently
it's a disgrace.
It's
a disgrace.
Was that in 2016?
Wrong.
And they just didn't bother to fix it?
No, I think it was right in 2K16, but they had an error in this game. I'm going to have to go back and double check, but I feel like it wasn't a thing last year.
It's the weirdest
thing. They screwed it up this year. How does that happen? There's not even a freaking Winnipeg in Ontario. Oh,
for the record,
God damn it.
Chris Jericho is built from Winnipeg, Ontario, Canada. If you're not from Canada, that's factually wrong. It's Manitoba.
So mad. It's
Hopefully,
Manitoba,
because otherwise I'm
hard.
getting everything wrong. But
no,
guys,
you're right.
I do have a WWE No Mercy review available on the YouTube channel. I'd like to get some quick thoughts about it. You know, this was the Smackdown pay-per-view that last week we said definitely had a bigger feel, better build-up for it. The presidential debate was a thing, so I guess WWE kind of freaked out. They put the main event match first. So the two real things I want to get from you guys is, number one, the main event moving first, and then the conclusion that was Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton for a pay-per-view, which is odd considering it's the two guys that we care about least, sort of like just getting in the ring.
No Mercy was definitely a show that felt like the main event went on first because it started off very strong, and as you went on more and more throughout the night, it started to feel less impactful, less exciting of a show. And as far as the actual main event, Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton goes, I think they made a terrible mistake by putting that match on last. It was probably the match I was least excited for, and it ended up being the most disappointing match on the show overall. If I had my way, I would have put Dolph Ziggler and The Miz on last at least. But
absolutely.
Such wasn't the case, but overall, No Mercy, still a pretty good show. They definitely shouldn't continue this trend of putting the main event on first, because maybe got a one and done thing, whether it be because of the presidential debate or not, and then just never do it again.
Yeah, it's weird because the network creates this interesting dynamic of, you know, now it's not about, oh, I paid for the pay-per-view, so I'm going to watch the whole thing. People are just paying a monthly subscription, so they'll actually not watch the pay-per-view, even though they have the network, because of something like the presidential debate. So that's why this interesting scenario appears where they're going to put the main event on first. I feel like because of the network and how it is, it's really, why not just have the match stay in its proper order, and then the people that want to just watch the main event can tune into the network after they're done with the debate and watch it then. I mean, is it really that much of a difference whether they watch it live or whether they watch the replay of it later? I don't think it's that big of a deal because, I mean, really my only complaint for this was that the match order was just weird. I mean, I wasn't really expecting Bray Wyatt versus Orton to be like a barn burner, but I thought it was a fine match, and I agree that if you're gonna put the main event on first, then why not put Ziggler and Miz on last? Other than that, and the result of Miz Ziggler, I thought it was a good show.
That was a good show. Unfortunately, Becky Lynch had to be taken out due to an injury that she sustained, so they put Alexa Bliss against Naomi. Personally, I would have just not done the match, or maybe do like a tag team match or something, because I don't really think anybody had anything to gain from this.
Would a tag match really help anymore, though?
Because Alexa Bliss is the number one contender. Now, I get it.
At
like
least
an upset
Alexa
victory.
wouldn't eat the pin in that situation.
Yeah, there's different ways you can really go about this. Now, the last thing.
The fact that Becky is not going to come back until like November, they need something to carry Alexa Bliss forward until that time.
And that seemed to happen
if
because
you
even
just
on
have her
SmackDown,
beat Naomi, then
win.
it's kind of like over then and there. But if you have Naomi win, well, now we can get a little story told until Becky's ready to come back.
It's true. Triple threat match. What I want to know. When AJ tapped, your reaction, and then ultimately the WCW ending that was then AJ comes back because he wasn't eliminated, even though even the announcer sort of treated it like so. And then he just beats John Cena with a chair shot to the back. Super Cena. John Cena lost to just a chair to the back, not to the head or nothing like that. Just simple stuff.
God, what a roller coaster that match was near the end, because at first you're like, okay, he tapped out. That's why the main event's on first, because they're going to do another title match later on. And then it'll be AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose, John Cena, and then we'll get to that match for the actual title as the main event. But then that didn't happen. Then we thought it was an elimination. And they're like, oh, okay, I guess this is the elimination match that nobody said. But no, AJ Styles wasn't eliminated. And then he just wins. 1, 2, 3. That's it. You called it a WCW ending. That is the most WCW ending they could have possibly done. It was very weird, but I don't think it took away from the match overall. It was still a very good match. It was a very cool spot there when Dean Ambrose was stopping AJ Styles from tapping by just grabbing his arm and then just like forking it up. It's neat little things like that.
Yeah, I mean, Keith pretty much nailed it. I don't get too sour about these kind of weird finishes like this. I knew AJ was walking out with the title, and it is kind of weird how triple threats work, where one person taps out to both people, and somehow that's a draw.
I don't think that's ever happened. Why does the ref
before even call it at all? It should just be the hold should just break or something. I don't know.
Yeah, in the past they've just done it where the match ends, somebody comes out and restarts it because the match should technically end, or something happened. Okay, but then AJ just kept on being into the match. It's like if Keith and I pinned Ryan, then he got pinned, right? Oh yeah, and then we're going to save the reactions for that.
It would be interesting to go back through WWE's history and see how they've treated these triple threat finishes and see if there's actual consistency between every single one of them.
I don't think we need to be special investigators for like a solid no consistency in them. So let's get to Raw and SmackDown. We do the poll thing every week. Byte That Cast on Twitter. Make sure you follow us. This is the good way that, we can enjoy a show or not, but your guys' feedback is really what drives it, so we get a good measuring stick of your enjoyment for the show. So first, on Raw with the 4 out of 4 rating scale, the top two were 51%, 3 out of 4 saying was pretty good, and then 21% just okay. So that is pretty good. It's like right in the middle ground where it wasn't a bad show, wasn't an awesome show, wasn't the show. It was a show. It was a solid show. With SmackDown, very different. So 42% gave it 4 out of 4. The majority said it was awesome. And then 32% gave it 3 out of 4. Now, nobody, 0%, said it was terrible. Kurt Hawkins didn't really wrestle there, so I would say that's questionable. There should be at least 1 vote under terrible. That's just me. Which show did you guys think did better this week? And before you actually answer that, I do need to point out that I did not watch Raw live because I was part of I co-hosted an extra live stream in the Microsoft Store on Monday in Puerto Rico. It was pretty cool, by the way. I really enjoyed the experience. So I watched Raw and the clip version on YouTube, and then I watched all of SmackDown last night. So that's just food for thought.
So, more food for thought here. How much of that 4 out of 4 for SmackDown can we directly attribute to James Ellsworth?
Oh, like 90%.
A significant
Easily.
portion.
And because he survived the Styles Clash.
That is true. But even that aside, I do think that SmackDown is a better show. And I'm saying it from the lens of SmackDown just feels so much nicer than Raw. Like, Raw still has those very low points where you're like, oh, why am I watching this? Where SmackDown is just a consistent, great show. And I think it was the better of the two this week.
Yeah, I thought this is the best Raw in a while that they've had, but it still does not beat SmackDown in my eyes. SmackDown is it's such a smooth, easily digestible show, and it's going to just take, I don't want to say it every week, but it's going to take a lot for Raw to win the week for me personally.
Agreed.
Now, for me, I can't really answer this directly because Raw, to me, was like a 30-minute show at most this week, technically, because of YouTube. And I like what I saw, but then again, WWE purposely only puts out the good parts of Raw. Well, with SmackDown, I thought it was a good show. I felt they've done better. I definitely felt more hyped before the pay-per-view. Obviously, they needed to change some things out, but I thought that Raw had some very memorable moments, and that's what we're sort of going to be getting to here, where Hell in a Cell is over 2 weeks away, so I actually thought that next week we were going to get to the dicks, the predictions, that is. And no, we actually got yet another week on top of that. It's so nice.
Oh my God, guys.
It's so nice.
They're breaking the
2
trend.
weeks. I
I don't know what to do
in
now.
between
I'm
a
so used
pay-per-view,
to.
man.
Oh my God, it's
It's
amazing.
like we can breathe.
And it's actually nice because not only do we get to breathe, but they actually announce 3 big-time matches for Hell in a Cell. So they have these 2 weeks to build them up as much as possible, them being Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins. We have Roman Reigns versus Rusev. And then the big one, the one that was speculated for about 2 to 3 weeks, Charlotte versus Sasha Banks. So my first question here is, which one are you guys looking forward to the most? And then we'll start with that one.
It has to be Sasha versus Charlotte because we've never seen a women's Hell in a Cell match. And I'm just kind of realizing we're 2 weeks out, or 2 to 3 weeks out from Hell in a Cell at this point. And it's like, just think about like how far Hell in a Cell has really fallen as a match type, where it's like, oh, they're just kind of like, yeah, we're going to have 3 Hell in a Cells and they're going to be in a couple weeks. And it's instead of like really building to, a match that deserves it, and then like having like a few weeks to digest that that these two people are going to be in a Hell in a Cell. It's just crazy how totally different it is now. And we get, so like this women's Hell in a Cell is kind of watered down by the fact that there's 3 of them on the card, but definitely still the one I want to see the most, just to see what the heck they're gonna do. I mean, Hell in a Cell matches are nothing like they used to be. They're kind of just now like hardcore matches inside of a little house. You don't really see too much outside of that, but maybe they'll push some boundaries. I hope to see something cool in that one.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting it now. Can I go into rant mode about the women's Hell in a Cell? Okay. So the way they went about announcing that match kind of irked me a lot, where you have the one man in WWE history. I'm putting on the tinfoil hat here for a minute, by the way. You have the one man in wrestling history that can tell these people, yo, you do not want this Hell in a Cell match. It does things to you. Instead, he's like, yeah, okay, you deserve it. And Jesus, stop telling me that they deserve it. If I didn't get it, if I didn't realize that they deserve all of this stuff 8 weeks ago when they told me then, I probably won't figure it out by now. So for the love of God, please trying to build this whole thing of, you deserve this, you deserve that. Like, show me instead of that. Just telling me that you deserve it over and over and over again.
Remember the Divas Revolution?
Who started it, Juan?
I'm pretty sure it was you from Ontario, but I think the Women's Revolution is going to get so much better. And it's totally what we talked about last week, where Sasha and Charlotte are so great in the ring, and they're great characters. When Sasha is just left to be the boss and not, hey, I'm crying every 5 seconds, she can do that properly. And Charlotte, she far exceeded what, compare our conversation from Charlotte during WrestleMania to now, right? It's completely different. Because before I'd be complaining back and forth like how slow she's talking and it doesn't sound believable. She sounds hell of a lot more believable than Sasha Banks does as a character. And I don't get it. Are they just going to have Sasha cry when the cell comes down? I just want... No, I want them to actually be able to do what made Sasha famous. Remember the match that she had with Bayley? I believe the one where she made Izzy cry in NXT. That was the second match she had with Bayley?
Yeah, that was the Iron Woman match.
Yeah, the Iron Man match. And think about that. If you had today's Sasha, like October 2016 Sasha, watch that Sasha wrestle, she'd probably
be
be
sitting
going,
there crying with Izzy for F's sake.
Yeah, she'd be like, wow, what happened to that person? Because Bayley in the main roster, okay, she's still Bayley. Dana Brooke, she's got the weird eyes in 2K17. Charlotte, she evolved. Sasha Banks, she went down. It's so weird that the one that people for months were going like, yeah, let's do this. And this is not a Roman Reigns thing, because Sasha Banks was my favorite wrestler. I was her Eugene to the Rock.
You should stop right there, because
it's upsetting. It is legitimately upsetting. Because even in Raw, she's just smiling so much. And I'm like, why are you called the boss? Because
she's
it's
not
marketable?
the boss. Tony Danza will always be the boss. And Sasha Banks... No, I know exactly what you're saying, though. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying, post-WrestleMania, pre-WrestleMania, where I was like, Becky Lynch, to me, is a more enjoyable character since coming up to the main roster, a lot more so than Sasha Banks, even though in NXT... Sasha seemed like the way more fleshed out character at the time. And she is kind of caught up as the figurehead of the women's revolution now. So she kind of has to just be the generic, hey, we're doing it, guys. And it's really sacrificing all the character she has. Where it's this Sasha Charlotte feud is it deserves a Hell in a Cell match, but it doesn't seem like they're having the cell match for the right reasons. It should be, we want to tear each other's heads off, so that's why we're going in the cell. And Keith, you're totally right about Mick Foley. He should be the one person abdicating against it, whereas maybe Stephanie is the one that is all for it. And, Sasha has to tell Mick Foley, let me in this match. This needs to happen because this feud is so heated. But instead, they're both standing in the ring looking at each other like, hey.
Drop kicking Rusev together.
I kind of want a Hell in a Cell match. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So what are you doing next Sunday? Oh, you want to go Hell in a Cell together?
Yeah, seriously.
Let's do it.
Yes.
But compare what SmackDown is doing to what Raw is doing as far as the women's division goes. The women's division on SmackDown is just doing great things without needing to tell you that they are doing those things. Raw is doing mediocre things, some great, but they need to constantly tell you about how great the things that they are doing are. It gets on my nerves at this point.
They just desperately need verification, Keith.
It's true.
Raw is a 15-year-old girl. I don't know why. I don't know. 15-year-old girl on social media. She just wants approval. You know what I'm saying?
You guys talk about my metaphors and all that stuff. I mean,
hey, don't co-sign me on that one.
Okay, so because the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view is not next week, which one would you guys rather talk about now? Owens versus Seth or Roman versus Rusev?
I don't know. Flip a coin.
Dealer's choice, my friend.
Okay, so I'm technically watching you guys on Skype. So let's go with Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins. How you guys feeling about this? It's a feud that it's an odd feud because of the Triple H factor that we've been talking about for weeks now, where Seth Rollins is being groomed to be the babyface of Raw, to be the real main face. Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens stealing the show. much like the match we just talked about, I don't exactly get why this match needs a Hell in a Cell, other than it's the title match and it's the name of the pay-per-view. Do you guys think they could do something next week or within the next 2 weeks that would warrant this vicious structure?
I mean, from the angle of there was so much interference in their last match, the Hell in a Cell makes sense then. Kind of like this, kind of an extension of the cage match where instead of just keeping them in the ring, they're keeping everybody else out of the match. But overall, I kind of feel the same way about, or how I did for their Clash of Champions match, where this is Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens. This match should be huge. I don't feel much for it, and it bums me the hell out.
It's strange that I feel like I should care a lot more about this, but I don't. I don't know, man. SmackDown makes me care about Ziggler versus The Miz, but I should be caring a lot more about Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins. And I think you're exactly right, Juan. This match is happening in Hell in a Cell because it's the title match and it's the name of the pay-per-view. And if you got Roman Reigns and Rusev and Sasha Banks and Charlotte in Hell in a Cell matches, well, the main event's not going to feel as important if it's not also in a Hell in a Cell. So it's really just a victim of circumstance that it's happening in this way.
I'd love to know if we could get like a table for three or something right now, like a real one, non-storyline, kayfabe, gimmick, whatever. I love to have Vince McMahon and then the lead writer for Raw and the lead writer for SmackDown sitting down, because notice how all the things we're talking about, they have the same recurring theme. Even like we've talked enough about Mick Foley last week and the weeks before, where he's an alpha GM. He's just there to give Stephanie McMahon a reason to still be on TV without getting the authority, but we're still getting the authority, where Dana Bryan has far exceeded it. It's ridiculous.
But only like every other week we're getting the authority, whenever it's convenient.
But even then, Mick Foley is just doing the thing that Stephanie would otherwise be doing, right? Where Dana Bryan feels like, okay, he may not actually have the pull backstage. It may just be a character on screen, but I believe him as a GM. When they announced, and we're going to get to that later, the Survivor Series stuff, I was like, okay, Dana Bryan, man, and Shane McMahon, because they just care about the results. They want the results. Raw always feels like they're treating you like you're dumb. Like you're a stupid viewer, and instead of telling you the story, they're telling you, okay, this is why my joke is going to be funny, because like there's going to be laughter at the end, and because I'm going ha-ha, you're going to go ha-ha, and the joke is funny. You never actually tell the joke. That's what Raw kind of feels like.
One thing I did want to say, and take it for what it's worth, but I was listening to, I believe it was Sam Roberts' podcast, and the Bella Twins showed up on
I listened to that, yeah.
Yeah, and one thing like Brie kind of said off the cuff, so take it for what you will, but it is coming from Brie herself. She said that Daniel Bryan actually does have some creative input on SmackDown.
Did, yeah.
So, I feel like when you watch Talking Smack and how passionate he is about the show, he has to be getting some input in there, because like you can tell like how happy he is with how the show is actually going. So maybe he's got more influence than we thought, and he's not just a TV character,
which would be awesome. So we'll just I don't know, like it feels like this is a conversation that we're going to end up having every week. So I usually say we'll find out next week, but I don't care to find out, honestly. I just don't like Mick Foley on Raw and most of the format. I like some of the things that are happening, but
and Roman and Rusev are in a Hell in a Cell match,
because well, that's 3 times is better than 2, I guess.
Hey, there was a cool spear, though, on Raw this week. I don't know if you guys remember it, but Roman flew over Sasha and Charlotte and speared Rusev, and it was just a sweet camera angle.
It's like a flying swan.
It's very gifable.
Do swans fly? I forget. No, they float.
Probably not.
I don't know. Somebody's probably thinking I'm stupid.
So I will say, for this Hell in a Cell match, this match of the three, I think, has the most potential to be a Hell in a Cell match. What you expect from a actual Hell in a Cell, I think this has the most potential to be that, because these two are actually going in there, at least storyline wise, and just want to beat the living piss out of each other, and that's really what you expect from a Hell in a Cell. So really, this is, now that I think about it, this is the match that I'm most hopeful and excited for of the three Hell in a Cells, but still that bar is very low at this point.
Well, I'm gonna be all technical here and actually say that Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins has the most potential, but Roman versus Rusev is the most probable to be a good match, because Seth Rollins could always bust out some crazy Phoenix Splash crap, whatever, off the cell,
from the cell, yeah,
through a table. That, you know what I mean? I don't count out Seth Rollins' ability to do something crazy, except for the fact of his injury. He might be playing it a little safe. But in what you were saying, Keith, most likely Roman versus Rusev is probably going to be the best Hell in a Cell match.
I'm just gonna give this for your thought, Noggin. Phoenix Splash into a curb stomp through the announcer table. Done. GG.
Now, on Biggie Langston, on Martin Luther King.
I need that in creative finisher. They need to bring that back.
Oh, man. Well, maybe. But on the topic of the games, we didn't get them, so that doesn't really contribute much. Honestly, we tried. I tried so hard to motivate myself. I've seen the tweets from many people, like Team Decay Tanner, Collector, like a bunch of people that have enjoyed the game. We've just said it so many times, where we grew up playing wrestling games since forever, right? So many of the features we've already either seen or seen in better form, and the gameplay, you can give me 50 different game modes, it's not going to help. But something that apparently comes bundled with a pre-order for every copy of WWE 2K games every year is a returning superstar to the WWE. So Brock Lesnar was a thing, he went back. Sting was a thing, he went back. Terminator was in last game, but that didn't really turn out. But now we got Goldberg.
We got a WrestleMania entrance from it.
Well, we did get that, so that at least was something. But Goldberg's back. He's going to be showing up on Raw next Monday after Paul Heyman called him out over, it's the strangest thing. It's the game is actually what's bringing Goldberg back in many ways. And we're going to get what seems to be a rematch from their WrestleMania 20 match at, I believe, Survivor Series. I just want to have this conversation because all three of us watched that. Like we at that time at WrestleMania 20, we definitely talked to each other. We were very disappointed then. It was a bad circumstance. All the fans knew both men were leaving, right? So not the best way to perform. But what does a Brock Lesnar Goldberg match look like in 2016?
That's a great question.
I have no idea.
Good.
I don't know what that looks like. Honestly, the only thing I can think of is their WrestleMania 20 match, where it's just two giant men staring each other down and fighting a little bit.
And just flipping people off.
Well, that's what I was saying. I wrote on Twitter that, the circumstances, to be fair, are very different. They're both in situations where they probably actually want to be there for the match. So there is potential for the match to be better. I mean, they don't have to do a whole lot to outdo their WrestleMania 20 match because it is so universally
they can show up
panned.
And do that.
Yeah. The thing is, I hate that. Why did Ryback have to leave now, man?
Yeah.
Like, they could have done something. That's all I wanted, was something to happen before Ryback left.
So let me
just finish my thought, though, is that the most disappointing thing is, like, Goldberg is coming back, and we're just going to revisit the exact match he left with when, like, his interview doesn't even make sense, where he's like, I beat Brock Lesnar. I guess I owe him a rematch. It's like, no, you beat him. Why
no, you don't.
Like, face up. He even said himself that there's a whole list of people that he wants to face, but we're just going back to here. Like, I don't know. I just feel like he's going to come back for, like, one or two matches, and it's kind of just being wasted on a match that I think people would rather forget.
And I know I say this about almost every Brock Lesnar match at this point, but if Bill Goldberg wins, he's the dude that beat Brock Lesnar. Like, he's the first person to pin Brock since the whole streak ended. Doesn't that seem like a giant waste? And then is Bill Goldberg going to come back just to lose? That doesn't seem plausible. So what do they do?
He's from WCW, man. You know what happens.
Unless
That's
that happens,
true.
which seems like the likely scenario. Because, okay, and this is the question that I wanted to bring up earlier. What does Brock Lesnar even, what does Goldberg, I should say on Raw next week that's just not, Brock Lesnar, you're next.
You're next.
And then we get the match. Because Goldberg is not known for anything that would warrant a build up to a match. That he doesn't cut a promo.
Hey, he's going to spear Paul Heyman, man.
Nah, I think Braun Strowman comes out. That's where I'm putting my money.
We actually got a question
and then Braun
about that.
Strowman gets speared. Career ruined.
Exactly. There's no benefit to this. This is going off the
No,
rails.
there's not.
So this is going off the rails. So is Paige, apparently. She's now been suspended for 60 days. And so many different things are happening here because her previous 30-day suspension, her first ever one, just ended not too long ago. Then just after she gets suspended for 60 days, she sends out a tweet, which she then deletes. And then her family, both her parents, start posting poems and saying, like, what's happening. And then WWE actually finally broke silence. And this doesn't make Paige look great because Paige alleged, she said that, hey, I have prescription. WWE says, we didn't suspend you for subscriptions. It was illegal substances. So people are talking about cocaine, a bunch of stuff. Like, this spiraled out of control. People looking for pictures of Paige, like, looking. They want to see her like she's about to die. It's insane. Like, the morbid wrestling fans that exist in the world
People
is
need
so
to stop
sad.
that.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
Like, there was one picture where it just kind of looks like she's sleeping. Man, she's coked up. She's coked up. Like, Jesus, man.
She's not
It's
off
like-
the
it's
rails.
like
She's
when,
doing rails, Michael.
It's like when Daniel Bryan admitted to having like seizures and stuff, and everybody went back and like, oh, Daniel Bryan was having a seizure in this match. Good God.
Yeah.
That witch hunt needs to stop.
Yeah,
man.
we're
Come
talking
on.
about like Reddit mostly, and I love Reddit, but sometimes people get carried away. I mean, there was a time, during the Boston bombing, they accused this innocent guy, and they had like a witch hunt out for this poor guy who did absolutely nothing. So people need to be really careful about what they do, and like all we know is that there was some illegal substance that Paige did, and now she's suspended for 60 more days, and it's clear that her and Del Rio are just not good for each other because ever since they've been together, bad things have been happening. And it's a shame to see that Paige, someone who had like the most promise in NXT to be the leader of the women's division going forward for the future, is now really fallen off really hard. It's really sad to see this because she had so much promise, and now it looks like she's going to be out of the company before we know it. So I really hope that she figures out her life, and, she's still really young. Was she only like 23 years old?
She's
obviously
like 24-ish right now, yeah.
Yeah, young people make mistakes, and hopefully she learns her lesson before it's too late and she's out of the company, because she can really have a good career, but doesn't look good right now.
Yeah, situations like this always feel so weird to comment on because it's one of those, you see both sides and the truth is somewhere in the middle. As fans, we will never know the real story. And honestly, we probably shouldn't because it's really none of our business. But as far as Paige being in the WWE standpoint, I agree with what you guys are saying with, it's just very unfortunate to see Paige get this treatment like, hey, if something else happens or she gets another violation and she's gone from the company, those people usually end up getting like erased from history. They don't get talked about anymore. And Paige has had such a great impact on the WWE that it would be just a damn shame to see that happen to her. So I do hope it just always, like any situation like this, I hope it turns around, and it sucks.
And hey, we got the Randy Orton rule, right? If she turns it around after a couple years, that second strike can be gone.
It's gone.
She's not like walking on ice.
Exactly.
So the only thing that we can do as fans is not look for pictures to see if she's coked up or whatever. Just care about
Stop
her.
that, people.
Yeah.
Seriously, let people have their privacy. It is none of your business.
Like,
Stop.
if you care so much about the wrestlers, male or female, just hope, honestly, if it takes her being gone, kind of like it did for Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy to get their lives back together, then worry about that. Like, you know what? Hopefully she does get released within the next year, just so she can get her life back together, because she is still really freaking young. She can easily take 4 or 5 years away from WWE, come back, and still do great. So whatever happens, just take care of yourself, please. We don't need any more wrestling things. Go look up Sam Roberts on YouTube. Check out his interview this week with Nancy Grace. That's all I'm gonna say about that one. There, it is
I couldn't
quite
even watch
entertaining.
the whole thing.
It's very rough. It's very,
something.
very rough. Okay, so we got a couple of topics related to the world of SmackDown, including some big ones. The main one is that last week and for the past couple of weeks, we've been going like Ziggler. Yeah, it's time to go. Maybe he comes back rejuvenated in a couple of years. The man wins the match. An awesome match, I may add. But I think that you guys kind of share the same train of thought that I had when I did my review, which is I just didn't know how to feel, despite the fact that they made me care about Ziggler. So they technically did exactly what they wanted to do. But now what? Maybe we just get the Spirit Squad feuding then every week, which isn't bad.
That's exactly it. Now what is the golden question there? At this moment, I still stand by the fact that Dolph Ziggler should have lost that match, because we really don't know what's next for the Intercontinental title, and the future could turn very bleak very fast. I hope not, but it's definitely a possibility, and right now it's still all up in the air.
Yeah, with Ziggler, it's we all pretty much agree that it felt like the right time for Ziggler to step away for a while. He even said it himself on Talking Smack that he never gave people a chance to miss him, because he's never stepped away in so many years that he's been wrestling. That we've talked a ton about how oh man, like a couple years ago we're all about Ziggler, but we can't put our faith behind him anymore, because every time you think they're going to do something with him, he gets burned, and that's it. So, I mean, SmackDown has turned people around that we didn't think we'd ever like the Usos and The Miz. So there's a chance that we look back at this and laugh and be like, wow, I'm so glad Ziggler stayed, and everything's great, and he's awesome now. But we could also be looking back and saying, man, they really had something with Miz there. That was really an opportunity to keep that train rolling. So I hope this turns out for the better. But at the present moment, I can't help but think that the right call really was for Miz to keep that title and Ziggler to step away for at least a little while and come back with just a completely fresh start. But we could be pleasantly surprised.
For me, it's less about Dolph Ziggler himself and more about the Intercontinental Championship. While The Miz had it, the Intercontinental Championship was on fire. I would argue that there were times where it was more prestigious than the WWE Championship itself. But now that it's on Ziggler, we're just left okay, is this momentum going to be carried forward? And that's the giant question mark for me.
I think that because Survivor Series is the next thing they're working towards, it kind of extends everything, right? Because of everything that Dana Bryan announced. But I'm willing to give it a shot, because we've been proven wrong by many things on SmackDown so far. How many of us went, oh no, I don't think it's a good idea, when we found out Dana Bryan was going to be GM, and then look, right? We were excited for Mick Foley, not D-Bry.
Yeah, and when we thought, man, the Raw roster, they're just going to destroy SmackDown.
So in that regard...
then Finn Balor got hurt. So I'm going to say that there's a veto on that.
Yes, unfortunate things.
Even Finn Balor himself could not save that 3-hour show.
True.
Only that last hour. If that last hour took a sabbatical for 10 years, it would make the world a better place. So let's get to talking about these matches that Dana Bryan announced. First of all, props to WWE. Usually big news like this, they leak out. But this was live on SmackDown. They announced not one, not two, but also 3 matches, I guess, to sort of top off what
Good
Raw
things
did for
come in
the Hell in a
threes.
Cell. And we're a 3-man crew. We're not the 3-man crew, because who would be Conan? I don't know. Okay.
We're a 3-man band.
Are you Jinder?
Eh?
Are you Jinder?
Well, I
You
am
are
the
getting
funny
hindered.
one, so, and don't hinder Jinder. Wait, where the hell is... Oh my god, Jinder is so hindered, man.
He's gone, man.
I haven't been doing my weekly Jinder status. That's how hindered he is, damn.
Poor guy. But here are the matches that are going to be happening, and much like the Hell in a Cell one, I want you guys to give me your top one first. So we're going to have a 5-on-5 match, elimination. All of these are elimination, traditional style. So it's Raw's 5 best superstars against SmackDown Live's 5 best superstars. We also have the same thing for the female superstars, so 5 against 5. And then this one, I don't even know how in the hell the ring is
weird
going to hold
match.
this. And poor Ascension is going to lose in like 3 seconds.
That's
5
how.
Just
on
so they have
5
enough room.
Tag teams. I thought that Dana Bryan messed up when he announced this. I was thinking, okay, so it's like collectively 5 people and maybe some tag teams. No, 5 tag teams against 5 tag teams. This is insane. But
It could
which
be
one?
like almost gauntlet style, maybe, where once you pin a tag team, a new tag team comes in or something.
It
That would
would be
actually
weird,
be pretty
though.
awesome.
That would be awesome. But based on the way he was saying it, it's just the Survivor Series format. So I don't think it's going to be like that. Regardless, which one do you guys think has the biggest potential?
I'm all in on the 5 best Raw superstars versus 5 best SmackDown superstars Survivor Series match. I love me just a good old traditional Survivor Series match. I love the story that they tell in them. And if they really go with like the 5 best, so if you have like AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, Roman in there, that could be a great freaking match.
The one issue, and like I'm looking forward to all of these matches kind of for different reasons. The one issue, and maybe they'll change this, is what are the stakes? What's the point? Is it bragging rights? I mean, it's
Probably.
not even been that long to I mean, even though the brands do feel pretty established, it still hasn't been that long for us to really have the rosters feel super divided. So I feel like there should have been something on the line. I remember we did a video about certain match types, and one thing I believe I suggested was you have like a Survivor Series match, and the winner of that, whatever team wins, you know, if SmackDown wins 2 out of 3, then the Royal Rumble is to challenge for the WWE World Title or something. You have it so that it's like the All-Star game. It has it matters for Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, or whatever.
Maybe
So-
that's why they're hyping up the
And
Rumble
actually-
right now. Maybe because like maybe the winning brand gets number 30 or something like that.
Yeah,
in the
that would
Rumble.
be cool, although I realize the women are kind of fighting for nothing in that circumstance. That just kind of popped in my head, but whatever. Give us something.
Actually, you say that. I totally see an outcome for like a 15 woman Royal Rumble match or something happening next year. I'm just saying that right now. So mark your calendars. I said that October 12th. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I don't think necessarily there needs to be bragging, anything more than bragging rights. I think that this match is going to show which brand people care about the most, right? I think it's more to see, okay, is there going to be a babyface and a heel brand? Usually that's what happens, right? Where Raw was traditionally the bad guys with Eric Bischoff or that type of era. Are we just going to see the best of the best and then people react accordingly? I'm looking forward to that because if Raw gets pummeled by the people from SmackDown coming out, that's going to give you an indication, right? Where, yeah, Raw, you really got to step things up. We've seen rumors where WWE is apparently going to drop WWE Universe and a bunch of terminology. I don't believe that
After
until we see
making
it.
the universal title.
Yeah, they
Exactly.
haven't done
It
it
seems
yet.
very improbable. Yeah, so I'm not even going to bother really talking more about that. But the real thing that we got to get to is James mother freaking Ellsworth in SmackDown, and he almost died. And AJ Styles People talk about Neville defying gravity or gravity forgetting him. AJ Styles modified the Styles Clash mid-air and basically saved James' life because he tugged his head. And this is so mean. This is so mean because people put a video, right, of this happening. And then the first comment is, how can he tuck his chin? He doesn't have one. And then I just feel bad.
Oh, that's funny.
Because I'm just laughing. It's so wrong. Poor guy.
No, Ellsworth, man. No, I saw that and for some reason now, I just have this paranoia that every single time I watch the Styles Clash, I'm always looking like, please tilt your head back. Please tilt your head back. And I saw Ellsworth to do that. I was like, oh God, oh God. And I was like, oh, that didn't look that bad. Like, I immediately thought disaster, and then I was like, oh, okay, he's fine. He's fine. So yes, AJ Styles saved a life while also slamming him with a wrestling move. Who would have thought? But Ellsworth, man, I mean, This guy, who would have thought he's like the breakout star of 2016, right? I love how they just bring him back every once in a while, and this was the perfect thing to do to have this AJ Dean feud going. Dean was hilarious as the special guest referee, and like they had the match going on during the commercial break, which is really cool. I don't remember them doing this since like maybe the first week of Smackdown, but you could see like Dean trying to teach Ellsworth how to do an arm drag and stuff. This was just super fun to watch, and Ellsworth's getting a freaking WWE World Title shot next week. Amazing.
James Ellsworth is the number one contender for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. I love how in they are on this James Ellsworth joke. It's just what makes SmackDown so great.
Who would have thought, right? A guy that is half the size of the smallest guy in the roster. And I'm just going to quote a forum reaction to this title match announcement. This is why SmackDown blows the doors off of Raw.
It absolutely is.
Think about that.
Ellsworth was started on Raw, and then SmackDown's like, oh, we gotta use this guy. You know, like Raw, they had the chance to really make something with this guy, and SmackDown was the one that ended up running away with it. I will say, however, not to put a damper on things, that next week should be the last time they use Ellsworth for a while, because he's been used perfectly up until this point, but you don't want to get carried away either.
Agreed.
You know what that means? Over L's exposure is about to happen. Hopefully not.
That's a terrible pun, but hey, Ellsworth could be champion, but probably not.
Every man with two hands. Every man with two hands. Every man with two hands.
Any man with two hands has a fighting chance.
You know, I'm gonna get my shirt. Every man with.
Much love, HH.
Oh my God, this is so bad already. I need some coffee. Okay, so say you love wrestling, but you don't have a lot of that De Niro, not Robert. I'm talking about money, and you want to get some really cool swag.
I like swag.
Swag is great. So I unboxed a brand new box. This is going horrible this week. It's bad.
I'm just like, insert worst sales pitch ever.
No, but real talk. So I forgot to mention this last week. We do these unboxing videos on the YouTube channel where I get monthly crates. It's like Loot Crate. It's like the arcade block, but it's for wrestling. And I now switched to the Pro Wrestling Loot, so shout out to them. It was only $20 a month, and thanks to USC Punk, recent Patreon subscriber, for giving us the recommendation. And 26 total with shipping. I did an unboxing, just spoiler, for $20 I got a Bret Hart autograph and a T.J. Perkins autograph and other stuff. But you got those two things, plus t-shirts and all that stuff, so you can check that out on the channel. Also, this Friday we have a brand new Square Roundtable up for patrons early already, where we talk about success stories outside the WWE. You know, you have your The Rocks, your Stone Colds, or even Chris Jericho, people that they leave WWE, but they grow. Even though Jericho's still growing outside WWE, but he's growing inside WWE. He's that exceptional case.
Yeah, you might want to just phrasing.
Really? I had no intentions at all. Come
Yep.
on.
That
you
was
dirty
just
mind.
no.
You dirty
That was
mind.
just no, man.
Okay, then you take it over. You know, you do some talking.
All right, I already forgot what you were talking about. What were you talking about?
I was talking about the SRT and then reminding you about Saturday, November 5th, 24 hours, playing For the Kids via Press Pause. So just mark your calendars. We're going to let you know about that. And then you do your part. Yeah.
All right. So, I got this.
You do?
Now, over on our Patreon, we are just $11 away from hitting our very first goal, which is a 12-hour wrestling video game stream. We're going to be playing a whole host of games. You let us know what games you want to see us play when we eventually hit that goal. And we'd like to thank this week our newest patron, as Juan mentioned earlier, USC Punk. Awesome guy, recommended wrestling loot. And we'd also like to thank Ashley Hudson. So thank you, both of you, for your support.
Yeah, thanks a ton. Patreon is an awesome way to grow the channel. Man, now you guys have me second guessing every freaking word I say. But just in case.
God, those might have been the worst announcements we've ever done.
It only took 164 podcast episodes. Okay,
Better than 165.
So TNA, we talked about the possibility of them being gone, and now everything seems to be fine. But the one thing that is apparently going to happen, and I can't possibly fathom how this is going to shape up, they are at some point near the end of the year going to tape a full episode of an Impact Wrestling TV series from the Matt Hardy compound. So from where they've been recording, the deletion, Broken Matt stuff. How? I'm super intrigued. I am totally watching that.
They have a ring.
But it can,
right?
What do the backstage segments look like? Is Senior Benjamin just walking around?
I think it'll be less of a wrestling show and more of what you expect from like a TV drama. Because that's the great thing about this whole Matt Hardy thing that's been going on. Matt Hardy has found a way to take wrestling out of a wrestling storyline and make it great, because all the things around it, like the final deletion, Delete or Decay, those aren't wrestling matches. Those are crazy dramas. And then the parts that actually happen in a ring, those are the parts you don't really talk about. So if they do like a full episode of that, that could be some of the best wrestling content of the year. But it's great how they're just taking wrestling out of it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more like just centered around Hardy and whatever he's doing at the time. Like, I don't expect them to try and run like an Impact episode out of the Hardy compound.
Aaron Rex isn't going to be at the Hardy compound.
Yeah, like everyone on the roster is just using the ring that's at the Hardy compound.
I mean, the wording has been that. The wording has been that they're going to do a full Impact Wrestling episode from the compound.
Well, that's really dumb.
Well, all right, I'm gonna have to read the exact wording on that just to see, because I feel like that's not really a good idea. It would be cool if it was like an all Matt Hardy episode type of situation where it was just like one story being told over the hour or 2 hours. But if they're trying to like, it would be so weird. How do you get the whole roster?
If WCW could do a Nitro in a mall, why can't Impact do it in a backyard?
Many reasons.
Because I don't know. Like, I don't know, man. I don't see it, like, because the Hardy compound isn't like a venue in that way. Like the mall was just where Nitro was taking place.
It's Matt Hardy's house.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need to go into more details about this. It's insane. I can't wait, though.
I don't know.
I really hope it happens.
Either way, I mean, how can you not be curious to see how they pull this off?
There's no way it would be live, because that sounds like a nightmare.
No, not a chance.
No.
So it's just like an edited TV show, the same way that they record the final deletion.
Yeah, and I mean,
just
even
dumber.
parts of the Bound for Glory match were obviously edited.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping we get full entrances. They just come out of Matt Hardy's bathroom or something like that.
Or just like a shed.
It's going to be like a backyard wrestling show, essentially.
Pretty much.
Literally in Matt Hardy's backyard, just pondering about this. It's making me smile progressively more and more. So I'm very happy that they're taking this this opportunity. You know, Billy Corgan's still battling apparently over not just becoming the president, but just having full control over the company. You know, Aaron Rex continues to sort of be talked down by fans. You know, they've been disappointed. So TNA, honestly, anything that gets the word out and it gets all these guys, including Cody, you know, a better opportunity in an alternative product, even Alberto Del Rio, which I may be seeing this Saturday, as well as the Shining Stars, because I'm going to a local show. Yes, I finally get to go face to face with the Shining Stars and my feud, but I'm hoping it all turns out for the better for TNA.
You're not wrestling the Shining Stars, to be clear.
No, but in my head I will be. In my head I will be, and
right.
I will
should
be
say
double
something
guillotining
to them, Juan. You should confront them.
If they're near me, I'm just gonna record myself like yelling in English for no reason other than to have everybody else understand me. Like, I hate you, and then they're gonna look at me and I'm gonna feel bad. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
You stare them down. You stand your ground, Juan.
Yeah. And then bring one of those, or get one of those timeshare pamphlets and then show it to me, because I want to see what it looks like.
It's just a bunch of Lorem Ipsum
then again,
Comic Sans.
Actually, just let me know if they bring a timeshare pamphlet, because would you bring a timeshare pamphlet to a show in Puerto Rico?
Yeah, probably not.
That would be insane. Their gimmick is worthless in Puerto Rico and in the WWE. Okay.
Yeah, like, are they going to tell you to come to Puerto Rico in Puerto Rico?
Well, maybe the rural parts of the island. We got some cool things happening down here. But gang, the last thing here, just very quickly, some reactions. Apparently, the Elimination Chamber is going to be coming back. They aired this video package for the network during No Mercy, where they show the upcoming things, and apparently it's going to be happening after the Royal Rumble. Now, it's not like it's been years, more than 4 or 5 years.
Where it used to be every year.
Exactly. So it's just
after
back
the Royal
there.
Rumble.
So, yay, nay? Is this a SmackDown pay-per-view because Raw has Hell in a Cell? Like, what's happening here?
I liked that they're putting it after the Royal Rumble, because if you thought about the way that the pay-per-view structure works now, it was that only either Raw or SmackDown was going to get the one show between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. But now at least both Raw and SmackDown have that show to build up their WrestleMania events. Now, it's cool that SmackDown gets it, because I think they could do a lot more with a SmackDown Elimination Chamber opposed to a Raw one, at least my perception at this moment. But Elimination Chamber is one of my favorite matches of the year, so I am more than happy to see it come back, even though it never really left.
Now, it seems like it's the fair thing to do, because Raw gets Hell in a Cell, right? So maybe for the sake of equality, we had to give SmackDown some sort of cell-structured themed pay-per-view, just so all things are equal. So I think it's cool that it's coming back. It screws up that video, man, that I made like a while ago about they're like, yeah, we're getting rid of Elimination Chamber. And then I made that video, and then like 4 months later they brought it back.
Remember the one time you said AJ was pregnant?
Oh, don't remind me, man.
Or Renee Young was leaving.
Yeah, and then someone made a t-shirt out of it.
We
tried to sell it on Amazon.
How come we never bought one?
I don't know, but you can't get them anymore, man. I didn't want to give them my money for a thumbnail I made that didn't even like transfer well onto a t-shirt.
It was
just
insane.
like, because who wants a t-shirt that says Renee Young leaving WWE question mark?
The weekly filler. They didn't even take out the weekly filler.
Oh god,
good times. We need more bootleg Byte That shirts. We're coming out with new shirts down the line. We have the BT logo one, but we're gonna have some cool things in there, including something special related to Mr. Poshek there. But gang, remember, you can always send your questions on Twitter, on email. You can do so on Twitter by tweeting Byte That Cast with the hashtag AskBT, and then email bytethatcast@gmail.com. Why am I even laughing? Man, I feel like Paige right now. Okay, and just drop a comment on the YouTube.
That was super inappropriate.
I think
I will not stand for that. I'm disgusted by you. I'm moving on to the question.
Go ahead.
Our first question. Don't worry, folks. This is almost over. Our first question comes in from TMK Tanner, who asks, What you gonna do when Ellsworth-a-mania runs wild on you, dude? So what you gonna do?
Cry.
I'm going to use my 2 hands to have a fighting chance.
I'm going to use my 2 men.
And I'm gonna tuck my chin in. So thank you for the question.
Because you have one.
Because I have a chin. And because I can. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Barnaballs. Balls. Who asks, would you like to see Braun Strowman mouth off again next week about having no competition, and then all of a sudden, boom, Goldberg comes out?
Huh. That, well, I mean, we kind of addressed this a little bit earlier, so definitely. I just hope that Strowman can somehow benefit from it, but going into a match with Lesnar, Strowman would probably be screwed. So maybe this is something that would be better, like, after the whole Goldberg-Lesnar thing, just because obviously we want to see Strowman actually be built up instead of just looking like a scrub or whatever, because, like, Strowman's a guy they're really trying to build right now, so it's not a good idea to just make him look like crap.
Yeah, if Goldberg was back in for a more regular appearance, then okay, fine. But because whatever interaction he has with anybody that's not Paul Heyman or Brock Lesnar is going to be limited, honestly, only have him be in the ring with either Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman, or the GM Authority stable, and that's it. Because otherwise, you're not doing anybody any favors.
Well, he can spear Jinder Mahal.
Being said, what if Bill Goldberg gave Braun Strowman the jackhammer next week? You would be like, yeah, it's Bill freaking Goldberg. Like, that would instantly put Goldberg back on the map, because I think that is their biggest hurdle between now and that match with Brock Lesnar. Why should I care about Bill Goldberg? Is Bill Goldberg still the monster that I remember him being? If he were to do that to Braun Strowman, yeah, it would super suck for Braun, and I'm somebody that really wants to see something happen with Braun, but the detriment to Braun, I think, would be outweighed by the gain to Bill Goldberg in that situation, and it would be really cool.
I don't doubt that's how WWE sees it, but once again, it's going back to the let's sacrifice a young guy that we're trying to build for the sake of a couple of dinosaurs trying to have a nostalgic match.
How old is Goldberg?
Those dinosaurs are going to bring in all the money.
Yeah, but yeah, this is the problem though. This is the problem with everything, man. It's, we're going to bring in all the money for Survivor Series. But then after that, if you'd actually built up Braun Strowman, maybe this isn't the best example, but build up Braun Strowman enough time, then all of a sudden he's bringing you money every month for a pay-per-view. I don't know. I don't like that it's constantly the younger talent gets fed to the wolves of the older talent for these, one-off big star matches, and then it's no wonder why they feel like they have to call in the National Guard every WrestleMania. They got to call in all the old guys to fill in the show to give it star power, when it's like, what happened to, WrestleMania during like the early 2000s? They weren't relying on stars from, they weren't relying on stars from 95 trying to sell WrestleMania 22, 21. They just had star power.
Exactly. Hulk Hogan didn't totally come out and leg drop Muhammad Hassan and Daivari for a whole segment during that WrestleMania.
You get some nostalgia acts in there, but you know what I'm saying.
Donald Trump didn't have a match with Vince McMahon.
Yeah, but guess who was in the match? Umaga and Bobby Lashley. They were actually trying to get...
And Stone Cold Steve Austin as the guest referee.
But keep in mind, focus on the younger talent was there.
Yeah, it was different. There, they capitalized on the Steve Austin drawing factor for the benefit of Lashley, because I believe that back then they were like, Lashley's going to be the breakout star. He wasn't. By the way, Goldberg is 49 years old.
Dang.
Granddad's
I wonder if he can
back.
still jackhammer Braun Strowman. Probably.
Possibly.
Let's find out on Monday. All right, so thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Cameron H., who asks, who will be the next person 2K brings back to the WWE?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it happen with Ultimate Warrior, Sting, Brock Lesnar, now Goldberg. That
Kurt
somehow this video game
Angle.
is it's bringing people together. It's bringing companies and wrestlers together, man. Kurt Angle is a good example. I'm waiting in like 15 years for WWE 2 whatever for CM Punk to be on the cover, and they finally make amends, but don't hold your breath for that one. I don't know who else is in bad standing besides Kurt Angle, really.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say Hulk Hogan is the one next year. I think by this time next year, the dust will settle, because eventually the dust needs to settle.
It's a good one. I like it.
It's a probable one, but I'm still sticking with Kurt Angle. It's time. He is not getting any younger. They can do a lot of things. There's a lot of stories that they come back to. You know, think back to like most of the games they've done recently. There's always a gap or a missing piece of the puzzle. That's because Kurt Angle's not involved. So by involving him, they can finally tell different stories with Brock Lesnar, with Stone
probably
Cold.
why there wasn't showcase mode for Brock Lesnar.
Exactly. They can finally address all that stuff. It makes perfect sense. People are going to be very happy about it. And he's a great playable character. It's a benefit for everybody.
Well, that, and they'd have to put in like the Hardys and stuff, maybe. Like the Lesnar showcase mode, there's just too many people they really can't put in the game.
Indeed. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Promo Neil, who asks, would you rather be deleted by broken Matt Hardy or be put on the list of Jericho?
List of Jericho, hands down. As far as I've seen, nothing's bad happened to anyone on the list of Jericho yet, but I don't want to become an obsolete mule like Jeff Hardy's become, so I'm going to stick with list of Jericho.
I'm going to have to say the same thing. I get to be on a list that also has Xavier Woods in it. So
Twice?
That can do no... Twice, yes, thank you. So it can do no wrong. The list by far.
Exactly. Becoming an obsolete mule like Brother Nero seems like a fate worse than death. Why would I wish that upon myself? So I got to get put on the list, even though I feel like I get some sort of exempt because I, too, am from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, not Winnipeg, effing Ontario, Canada. But, yeah, the list of Jericho if I have to choose between the two. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from The Dark Knight. Swear to me. Who asks, who is your all-time favorite comedy character in the WWE, and what are your early predictions for the Royal Rumble winner?
All-time favorite comedy character. Funnily enough, for me, it's kind of got to be Kurt Angle. It seems like a weird example because some people forget that Kurt Angle had some great comedic chops, which they at in no point utilized in TNA. In TNA, he was like drop dead serious, and the WWECW, he was really serious. But a ukulele Kurt Angle, you think about all that stuff, he was great, but when he got into the ring, he actually was able to transcend. He was able to take that into the ring, still be a great wrestling machine, but he had the personality. And that to me makes it funnier, right? Because you can be your Santino, but if you can't back it up in the ring, or if you can't do something in the ring that still makes you look like a threat, you kind of get stale after a while. Kind of like Damien Mizdow.
Just always crapping on Sandow.
But it's not unwarranted.
Yeah.
Like real talk.
I haven't really
here.
seen enough Aaron Rex, so I can't make judgment there.
Don't.
Comedy character, I love what Jericho's always done, and I'm really digging Enzo and Cass. All time probably still has to go to The Rock. He just had so many promos that were just amazing, and he'd come up with just hilarious stuff off the cuff that I have no idea how he comes up with it. Always gonna go with The Rock, especially was it Kevin Kelly? He used to crap on him all the time in the interviews,
Kelly.
And that always made me laugh.
Poor Kevin Kelly. Yeah, for The Rock is definitely a good choice. It's hard to narrow it down to just one person for me, but it is definitely the combination of Edge, Christian, and Mick Foley back in the day, like early 2000s, late 1999, all the crazy stuff that they would do together, like Christian fake puking and all of those terrible puns that Mick Foley would say. It's a beautiful time. It's also a great table for three on the WWE Network. If you haven't watched it, check it out. As far as early Royal Rumble predictions go, I am 100% on the Seth Rollins train for the Royal Rumble. I think this is Seth's Rumble to win.
I'm on the John Cena train. Choo choo.
On?
Oh, I thought we were moving on to the next question.
Do you have
Who's
a
your
Royal
Royal
Rumble
Rumble?
prediction?
For the Rumble, I don't. I honestly don't. Like right now.
So James Ellsworth, thank you,
James
Juan.
Ellsworth. All right, great. Thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Cynical Justin. Only going to do a few more questions because we need to get the hell out of here. This is a train wreck. But Cynical Justin asks, this week, Byte That, I have a challenge for you. With the incoming return of Goldberg, I challenge you to watch Santa's Sleigh and give your thoughts.
Oh
Is anybody
man,
going to accept that challenge?
you know what? I'll take it if I can find it. I don't even know where it's available.
Is it on Netflix? I highly doubt it. It doesn't seem like it's worthy of an upload.
Okay, I'm just gonna look up Watch Santa's Sleigh.
Why you gonna do this to me, man? I gotta accept it. I have to take the challenge.
Well, if you guys are going to do it, I guess I have to.
Yeah, let's all torture ourselves. For the record, it's the movie where Bill Goldberg is Santa Claus. I've never seen it. I just saw the poster of it.
And he's like
it
a
looks
killer
bad.
Santa Claus.
Yeah, I'm looking at the poster right now. My God, that person
I
did no
now
Photoshop.
just got the pun. Slay. Like
Yeah,
he
like
has a
slay.
sleigh, but he slays people. Oh my God.
Ba-dum. So thank you for the challenge, I guess. We'll report back on that next week. And our final question of the show comes from Sam H., who asks, describe your ring entrance if you were a WWE superstar. What would be your music, your costume? Would there be an effect? Would you come out with a prop? Would an animal show up? Let us know.
Oh man, this is like the whole experience. Okay, so let's break it down a little bit. Okay,
Ba-da-da-da.
if I gotta go with music first, based on what's happening with me, I'm off the rails today. So I'm just gonna go with Simon Dean for a theme song. The da-na, da-da. I'm gonna go with that, and then for costume, I am going to wear that jumpsuit that's a jumpsuit, right? You can call that a jumpsuit?
Yeah,
Tracksuit.
that or a onesie.
Tracksuit, yeah. For effect, I would have 6 people around me playing a kazoo directly onto a microphone. For props, I would have just the Bailey things come out, but then they're actually playing kazoos, and because they have the air machines that lift them up, it's just this loud buzzing noise.
The wacky inflatable
Yeah.
tube then. Which,
And-
by the way, sorry to interject. I know you're gonna have pandas, right?
Of course,
For your
of
animals.
course.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder there. But I love how I feel like just because that video package they did with Bailey way back when with the deflating wacky inflatable tube head, they were like, let's actually have her get her ass whooped and then actually deflate the
Oh my
tube head
god.
on her.
You know what? We didn't talk about it. That was the highlight of Raw when Dana Brooke came out, attacked Bailey, and just the freaking tube man deflated.
Like they were like, that's
Oh,
great, the video package. Let's just do it for real. That was awesome.
that was so good. So Ryan?
All right. Music. You know what? My roommates always joke that I only listen to Metallica, even though that's not true. So I'm just going to come out to Metallica. Let's go with...
Really? I never would have,
What?
in a million years, I never would have associated that.
Yeah, no, it's a joke that goes way back when people actually used to put the music they listened to on Facebook, like, 8 years ago.
Wow, yeah.
I had this
Wow.
whole list of stuff I listened to, and then my friend deleted everything and wrote, I only listen to Metallica on my profile
What
because he
song
was
would
on
you
my
use,
laptop. Yeah. So let's go with From Whom the Bell Tolls. Pretty good song, right? All right. Costume. My costume is nothing but a tanned, skin-colored thong. effects. I'm gonna be covered in baby oil.
You're like the living action figure.
I'm gonna have fluorescent lighting just shining on me, and just so it's reflecting into the crowd, and it's beautiful. Props. I'm gonna ride out on a. Oh wait, now this is. I'm gonna. Whatever. We're going right to animals. I'm riding out on a noble steed. All right. It has to be noble. It needs a title, so it needs to. I don't know who can give it its nobility, but the steed must be noble. Maybe even no. I'm not gonna go there. All right. I'm done.
For mine, there's only one thing that matters. By the way, everything about your entrance really says for who the bell toll of my Metallica.
I totally forgot about
the curtains really match the drapes on that one. But there's only one thing that's important about my entrance. And have you guys seen that gif of that perfect camera angle? You know Brock Lesnar when he used to do the hop up and then the pyro would go off.
Oh, yeah.
And you know how there was that one camera angle where it looks like it was exploding from his ghibli bits. That's all I want in my entrance. The rest, the details don't matter, but as long as every time I come out, I do that hop and boom, I get that camera angle.
Oh my god, that reminds me of I made this entrance in it must have been like WWE 30 at the time, where I used the Brock Lesnar ring pyro. But what was that woman's name who used to like tangle herself on the ropes? When she'd do the entrance, like she was with Kevin Thorne. What's her name?
Ariel.
So
Ariel.
We had a dude who used Ariel's like ring in entrance, and they like spread their legs or whatever, and then we had the Brock Lesnar pyro go off with the perfect camera angle. It was hysterical.
See, it's all you need. It's the perfect entrance.
Plus a skin color thong for good measure.
Indeed.
Of course.
But thanks everybody for all the awesome questions. I don't know what happened today.
What a note to leave it on, huh?
Just think about Keith with the pyro and weird positioning, and then Ryan in a skin colored thong. Oddly enough, I had the most normal answer, yet there was just something wrong with me the whole episode. I'm laughing for no reason. Honestly, you know why? Because I may be watching Obsolete Mules this Saturday. Because like Jeff Hardy's also going to be at that show. But all the promo stuff is like WWE Jeff Hardy. So he may be completely off character at the show I'm going to. So
how did you get from that A to B? I'm so confused.
I don't know. I set challenges for myself and I do them. And I did it there. But gang, thank you so much. Keep the questions coming. Keep all the information. And Ryan, when we go home, what does it usually say?
Thank you guys for tuning in and listening to the Byte That podcast. Yeah. It's time for us obsolete mules to say goodbye for the week. But there's plenty more content that we have, and you can check out a lot of that by going to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ByteThatCast, where this Friday we're going to have a video up. It's up now for early access patrons. That it is 5 wrestlers who found success outside of WWE. Juan is now trying to throw me off now with a lovable Keith picture, but I'm trying to let's stay on board. All right, so if you want to ask a question for the show or anything like that, the best way to do so, send us a question on Twitter @ByteThatCast, or leave a comment on this video if you're listening or watching / whatever on YouTube. And he's still trying to throw me off. And for anything else, head over to ByteThat.com. And if you'd like to go the extra mile in supporting us, head on over to patreon.com/ByteThat, where we're just $11 away. So if 11 people want to throw $1 our way saying thanks for doing what you do, we will hit our goal of doing our 12-hour video game stream. We got plenty of other cool goals, including going full video every week on YouTube for the podcast. So if you want to go the extra mile, head there. So thank you guys for listening. It's been a hell of a time, and we'll see you next week.
I'm so sorry.